Estávamos um dia em casa acessando nossos aparelhos celulares quando vimos que a boneca Annabelle havia se mexido na caixa. Reunimos toda a nossa equipe e contactamos Chris McKinnell para nos ceder uma entrevista. E você me pergunta quem é Chris McKinnell? Ele é um fofoleto, neto de Ed e Lorraine Warren, nada mais, nada menos que tutores da boneca maldita amaldiçoada Annabelle. Casal esse que investigaram casos paranormais que serviram de inspiração para os filmes Invocação do Mal 1, Annabelle 1, Invocação do Mal 2, Annabelle 2, A Freira, A Maldição da Chorona, Annabelle 3 e futuramente Invocação do Mal 3 e, é claro, o best-seller Fofão e a Nave Sem Rumo, com 45 mil fãs no Orkut. Ficamos muito felizes, pois ele aceitou em nos ceder uma entrevista exclusiva, mas infelizmente todas as gravações se perderam. E por conta disso ficamos tristes, chateados, pois não conseguimos recuperar. Decidimos então jogar um ping-pong com o vovô, dar um trato nas madeixas na cabeleleila leila. Hidratação, cabelos e piolhos. Ceiamos com a família, fizemos exercícios, levamos nossos humanos pra passear, demos um grau de porco, azaramos as minas e então pensamos, por que não gravamos novamente a entrevista? Foi então que entramos novamente em contato com Chris McKinnell para saber se ele poderia nos conceder novamente a entrevista que havíamos perdido. Foi quando Chris nos respondeu que...
Pô, meu, tô no telefone aqui. Tá me atrapalhando, tô conversando com o cara, meu.
Bom, desculpa, pra alegria da macacada, ele aceitou. Acionamos então nossa equipe de roteiristas, Ibope, tradução e legenda e a nossa equipe de TI. E é claro que o nosso encarregado-chefe ficou super contente com o trabalho. Fique agora com a entrevista com o paranormal, físico, psicólogo e todas as paradas que dão medo só de falar, Chris McKinnell, conduzida brilhantemente por Esther Moreira.
Hi guys, I am Esther Moreira from Primos do Tarcísio, a comedy group based in Taquaritinga, São Paulo. And today I am dressed like Annabelle, the fake one, because we are here with Chris McKinnell. And who's Chris McKinnell? He is a grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Thank you very much, Chris, for having me again. I'm so glad for having you. Renee, you.
It's my pleasure, honestly. Anytime I can spend a little time with Annabelle, I'm happy.
Look, Chris, we will start. I'll make you a few questions about your grandparents, about your life. You answer whatever you want, okay?
Okay.
First, we know the affection that you have for your grandparents. And so do I, and everybody here in the group, because we have watched many interviews of them. And I need to confess, I'm in love with your grandmother. She was always so amazing. Talk about her.
My grandmother was actually more of an angel than what you see on video. In the videos, she could be very serious, which she had to be, of course. But in reality, she fit the bill for grandma. She was a true grandma to everybody. Strangers. She just made everybody feel welcome and loved. And holidays in our home, let me tell you about Christmas.
Please?
She would show up with sacks and sacks of toys and clothing and gifts just for one person. And then bring in more sacks for the next person and more for the next person. It took hours to go through all of her gifts. She must have spent half the year buying things. Plus, she would bake and cook, and she never sat down and ate a holiday meal with us because she was always taking care of us.
How was your childhood with the Warrens?
Oh, it was normal for me. I grew up with Ed and Lorraine starting to become famous. You know, Amityville came out when I was 12. And then the Arnie Johnson case, which they're going to be doing the new Conjuring 3 about that case. That was when I was about 14. So I was the kid in school whose grandparents were ghost hunters. And by the time I was 16, I was actually going on cases with my grandparents. So I became the kid who goes after ghosts.
And how was that at the school, for example?
Well, I moved around a lot as a kid. So by the time I was 15, I was in my last school. I loved it. My grandfather had taught me how to do regression hypnosis when I was 15 or 16. So I was very popular with the girls in school. They all wanted me to hypnotize them and let them see their past lives. And then once I started going on cases, and my first case was an actual poltergeist case, and it was over the top. I mean, banging on the walls, clawing, scratching in the walls, growling coming from the walls. The crucifix upstairs in the bathroom was turned upside down. My grandfather left me upstairs in the master bedroom in the dark to wait for something to happen. This is the same room where a big hulking black figure came into the room when the woman was alone there, picked up her rosary beads and twirled them as if to say, "You think these are going to stop me?" So he had me sit there in the dark and wait for things to happen while I'm listening to the pounding and feeling the wall shake and hearing the growling. They're downstairs trying to piss this thing off so that it'll show itself more clearly, so we know if we're dealing with a human spirit or a demonic entity. I can tell you, spoilers, it was definitely a couple of demons. We actually have a photo of them. By 3 o'clock in the morning, all hell was breaking loose. Two hulking black shapes came down the stairs into the room. My grandfather and the woman of the house were on a couch. I was in a recliner, and another researcher and the husband were upstairs. We were all on the telephone with a radio station, WTIC, out of Hartford, Connecticut in the United States. And the woman screamed that her face was on fire. My grandfather shined the flashlight on her face, and we watched 3 claw marks appear on her face and blood drip down. And then we had a pot in the kitchen that we had been burning holy church incense in. That picked up by itself, came around the corner and flew straight at my head. Just went past me, hit the window behind me, the shade flew up, the pot crumpled. I said, "Oh shit," over the radio. The lights started going on and off. The woman is screaming that she wants to get out, and I'm thinking that's a very good idea. So I ran to the front door to help her get out and get out myself. And the front door was locked. It hadn't been locked. We had just been out, and now it was locked. The chair I'd been sitting in flipped over and came at me across the room. Then the door opened by itself, and we left my grandfather sitting on the couch on the radio by himself while we went outside. And that was my first night in a haunting. When I shared that story with the kids at school, I was a bit of a superhero.
I can see, I imagine that. Oh my God. Have you witnessed any phenomenon at the museum of the Warren Museum?
Actually, we have things locked down very well in the museum. I spent the last year and a half of my grandmother's life living with her and at the museum. And other than when my grandfather died, some red lights went on and off outside the museum and inside the museum when a priest was walking by, as if to say, "Hey, I'm here, don't worry, I'm watching out for Lorraine. No problem." And then another day, excuse me, I was in there with a friend and we were taking photos. She was all excited and I was taking photos of her in the different parts of the museum. And on the way home, we were looking at the photos. She's very excited. She wants to see if she can see anything, and there was nothing really to see. But the next morning when we got up, all of the photos were gone. Every other photo before the museum, they were still there. The ones after the museum were still there, but anything we took in the museum was gone.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And how do you deal with those who don't believe? They think that you are crazy. How's that for you? Does that bother you?
Not in the least. As a matter of fact, I hope more people don't believe. People who don't believe have a harder time of getting hurt by this stuff. It's the people who are open to it that end up getting hurt the most. I'm not saying that you have to believe to be hurt. That's not the case. There are plenty of people who've joked and gone out and done things just because they thought it was funny, and then they've opened a door and they've gotten hurt. My background is actually in psychology and quantum physics. I'm a skeptic. I don't believe that it's paranormal automatically. I assume it's natural or psychological, and I'm always going to look for that first.
Okay.
But I've seen too much that science cannot explain. I've been in a bed that flew across the room with me and another person in it in a haunted house, and then slammed to the ground and broke into pieces. That's not something science can explain. I've been picked up over the stairs, off the ground, by something nobody could see. Thank God there were two other people there, and they grabbed me and pulled me out of thin air. So again, not something that can be explained by science yet. I do believe once we have something called the unified field theory, which combines quantum physics and Newtonian physics, right now there's a gap. Once we have that, I think that will start to unlock some of the mysteries of the paranormal. One of the things I've discovered is that the paranormal conforms to your belief systems. If you're in a Hindu family, you're going to be haunted by Hindu black magic, Hindu demons, Hindu style ghosts. You're not going to be haunted by Satan. You know?
Yeah, because it's very.
It's totally different, and it's because of your beliefs. You shape the phenomena.
Yeah. And now you're living in Brazil, right?
That's right. Yeah, in Nova Iguaçu. Although tonight I'm in Cabo Frio.
You know that here in Brazil, some people love fake news. And
Oh, I
some
know.
time ago, it spread a rumor that the Annabelle doll had moved inside the box, and it was denied by you.
That's
Tell us
right.
about the story.
Supposedly, some expert had noticed that when my grandmother died, Annabelle moved. This is a complete falsehood. The truth is, about 3 or 4 times a year, we take Annabelle out of her box, we put her in a travel box, and we display her at it. I hate to say her. Annabelle is not human. It's not a female. It's an it. But we display it at a special evening with Annabelle that my family puts on. I don't really have anything to do with that. If you'd like more information, you should go to nespr.net. That's nesper.net. And they'll announce when the next one is. Of course, you have to go up to Connecticut in the United States before you can take part in that.
But are you afraid of some of the objects inside the museum? One scariest there that makes you shiver?
No, not at all. I grew up with that stuff. It's just part of my life. I was afraid of the dark until I was 16 years old. Then I went on my first case. After that, I've never been afraid of anything other than harm to my family. That scares me. You know, the people I love being hurt, that bothers me. But the supernatural, the paranormal, doesn't faze me in the least. I expect that stuff.
And since 2013, Hollywood has been putting the name Warren in focus with the movies, The Conjuring, Annabelle, and
The
a lot of.
Nun and La Llorona, and yeah.
There's a lot. When your grandmother were alive, does she like the way they told the story?
She did. She was really excited about it. It made her really happy. The second Conjuring, she was in poor health. She did go, she was there, but she didn't really get to participate as much as she would have enjoyed, unfortunately. The Annabelle movies, I have to stress this because here in Brazil, Annabelle seems to be incredibly popular.
Yeah.
All of those movies are fake. There's nothing real about those movies at all. Annabelle is real, but she is a Raggedy Ann doll. If you want the true story of Annabelle, there is in Conjuring 2, they talk about the nurses who owned Annabelle. I have a couple of other stories of things Annabelle has done, but since about 1974, Annabelle has caused no harm whatsoever because we have her locked down right now.
But now here in Brazil, some few people know about the Warren Legacy, the project that you were taking care nowadays. Tell us about this project.
I'm the director of the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research. It's something my grandmother and I had discussed and she wanted me to do. It allows us to take advantage of the popularity of these movies because now we have a worldwide reputation and we can help more people than ever before. Before they were local, now we're everywhere. So now the foundation, the Warren Legacy Foundation, has people in most of the world. We're still growing, we still have a way to go, but we're working on it. And we've got people here in South America, we've got people in Europe and people in Asia and people in New Zealand and Australia. We're spread out. We help people for free. We don't charge anybody, just like my grandparents never charged anyone. And we never will. We protect the anonymity of our clients. We do not share their information with the general public. That's a little bit different than my grandparents used to do, because for them, when they were doing it, there was no internet. And if people wanted help, they didn't know where to go. So my grandparents had to publicize their cases so that people could find them. Today, with the internet, we don't have to do that, so we get to protect our families that come to us.
We have here in Brazil, Chico Xavier. Have you heard about him?
I'm wondering, is he the medium?
Yeah.
Yeah, the very famous medium. He passed away,
Yeah.
20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yeah, more or less. There's the movies.
Yes, yeah, a very long time ago, I read about him, and I think I watched a documentary when I was in Portugal.
Okay. We read a story about your grandma and the Bigfoot. What do you know
Yes.
about the story?
My grandmother made telepathic communication with the Bigfoot. It is real. As a matter of fact, one of the members of the Warren Legacy Foundation right now, this is really cool, is actually communicating with a Bigfoot in a way. He's got a gift site where he goes, he leaves peanut butter, apples, things like that. And now the Bigfoot unscrews the jar, eats the peanut butter, takes the apples, and they've been recording this with audio. And so you hear the Bigfoot making noises that sound like speech. And he's been breaking the branches and the tree. He broke a tree in half that was a perfectly healthy tree. And that was just last week. So I'm pretty excited about that. But my grandmother and grandfather had been out doing a lecture, and then they had been asked to check into this thing because there had been so many sightings. And when they were out in the woods, my grandmother had telepathic communication with a Bigfoot. She was overwhelmed by the depth of emotions of this majestic creature. And it was not a violent creature. It wasn't out to hurt anyone. It wasn't chupacabra. It was something solitary, not benevolent. It didn't want to take care of people. It just wanted to be left alone.
Do you believe in aliens?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, if there are any listening, I'm very interested in meeting you. But honestly, in a universe with a billion galaxies, of course there's other life on other planets. Of course there is. And there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that we are being visited. Honestly, in my personal opinion, the reason they haven't announced themselves to the entire world, we're not ready yet. We fight amongst ourselves so much. We draw fake lines in the sand and say, this is my side, that's your side, you can't come over here. We bicker over our beliefs.
Mhm.
We are not unified and we're not evolved. And that is why I think they haven't really made their presence known. I mean, they do, like when there's a military buildup, they actually will show up at army bases in larger numbers. There was a time, I believe it was in the 60s, and there was a miscommunication, and all of a sudden a bunch of missile silos in the United States started to arm, and they were going to go off. They were not in a circuit. In other words, each one was individual. What you did to one would not affect any of the others. It was a fail-safe. But a UFO appeared over each one, did something, and shut them all down. And that's actual recorded historical fact. As a matter of fact, I believe it was the CIA just recently announced to the world 2 weeks ago that UFOs are real.
Did your grandparents believe too in aliens?
I think my grandmother did. Yes. My grandfather and I never had the conversation.
But I imagine that your life is not ghosts and demons. I want to know the happiest memory with your grandmother, your grandfather, with your family in general.
The happiest memory. Wow. There's so many. All the different fun things that we've done in the past, for instance, my grandparents would take me on lecture tours with them when I was a kid. And so I got to see a lot of the country and, stayed in nice hotels in New York City and met interesting people from all walks of life and, major stars and things like that. I even got to go on a TV game show that they were guests on. That was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, but the holidays were always pretty special because of my grandparents, especially because of my grandmother. My grandfather, I called him Gramps. Most grandfathers you call Grandpa. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was a joker, and he was also a very this is it kind of guy. So he was Gramps.
What do you think about those TV shows that is always talking about paranormal and things like that?
I've only watched a couple of episodes of 2 different programs. They appall me. I can't stand them. I've watched one called Ghost Adventures twice, and that is so bad. It leads people into so much danger because their practices are not professional. They're incredibly dangerous. And if you were to actually do what these people do, you could easily get very badly hurt. You cannot produce a haunting on a TV production schedule. You don't go into a house, spend a night there and say, okay, that was great, we fixed it. No, you probably didn't. The reality is taking care of a haunting takes time. I have worked on cases where I spent 9.5 weeks in one home every single night. You do that because you have to help the family. They're being raped by something demonic, and other things are showing up and terrorizing the other family members. Of course you're going to be there for them. You can't do that with a TV show, and I wouldn't do that with a TV show. If I were myself to ever do something, and I do a program now on the Spirit Realm Network, which is on Facebook and on YouTube and so forth. But that's just me, just like tonight, sitting here telling you about the paranormal from wherever I am in the world, educating you. I'm interested in. That's one of the 3 functions of the foundation, is to educate the public, educate the next generation of researchers, and to help people in trouble. Those are our 3 main goals. So yeah, I'm not a fan of all of the YouTube people who are out there just trying to get hits and record phenomena so that people check out their website. I'm not into that. I don't even care if I ever get any more evidence because I know it's there. I want the evidence for myself so I can see and know that what I'm dealing with is happening in that particular household. But I don't want to share it with the world so that you can all be excited and the poor family gets exposed. The family comes first.
Talking about family, what do you think your grandmother would say with this crazy word that is today with this coronavirus and everything?
My grandmother was a woman of faith, and I'm pretty sure she would have just felt, it'll be okay, honey, don't worry about it. That was her basic way of acting. Always honey, everybody's honey. It's okay, honey, it'll all be okay. Don't worry.
Do you have any message that you want to send for your Brazilian fans or for the Brazilian people in general?
I am really looking forward to getting out into your country and learning. I'm here to learn. If I get the opportunity to do some lectures or seminars in Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro or anywhere, I'm going to do that because I want to. I want to share my information with everyone. The way things are going, I'll probably have to leave the country before I get that opportunity because I have to go back to the United States at the end of September, and I have a feeling that the virus is going to be lingering here for quite a while.
Oh my God.
But I will be back. I have a beautiful woman here who loves me, and I'm going to be coming back again and again. So it's not a bad thing. I would say this. Please don't mess around with Ouija boards. Don't try any spirit communication. In other words, don't try to talk to any ghosts because you don't know what you're going to get. What you're doing is you're opening a doorway. And if you happen to be in a bad place in your life, if you're in a negative place, and especially now when so many people are stressed out, this is the worst time to try to do anything like that. You may not get hurt, but it's Russian roulette. You never know if you're that one.
Yeah.
So I ask you, please protect yourself. Stay away from the paranormal. The only reason I go in and do it is because I'm trying to save people who didn't know what they were doing. If you're interested, I actually had somebody start a Facebook page for Brazilians. It's Chris McKinnell and the Warren Files. Warren Files is the name of the show on the Spirit Realm Network. It's also the name of our YouTube channel, The Warren Files. If you want more information, we've got over 40 videos on there you can check out, figure out what we're talking about with the paranormal. You'll learn a lot about my grandparents. You'll hear some great case studies, and you'll hear a lot about spirituality and the nature of reality. That's if you speak English. We're working on getting translations.
Oh, I'll try to translate for you if you want.
Fantastic. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
I don't know everything, but some things I know.
That'd be great. I'll send you a link to the YouTube page, and you can take a look and see what we can do together.
Oh,
Thank
please do it. I'll do it. My pleasure.
I appreciate it, Esther. Thank you. Obrigado. Muito obrigado.
I think that helping people is a gift for you. And you were chosen by God, maybe. So, in the name of all the people that you were helping, I want to thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to do my best. And I have a lot of good people helping me. It isn't just me. We've got people all over the world who are dedicated and willing to drop everything to help somebody in trouble. They're the real heroes.
Yeah. All of you are. Thank you very much.
God bless you. And God bless all of you out there. Please stay safe.
Please stay safe, stay home. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Again, that's the second time we're doing this.
It wasn't paranormal that we lost the first episode.
Was the 30 days of Skype.
We'll make sure that everyone gets this one this time.
Please. Thank you very much. See you soon. If I can help you, please let me know.
I will, definitely. No, I'm sending you the link, I promise.
Okay. Count on me.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boa noite.
Goodbye.